All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the program and budget meeting to order for February 27th, 2019. With that, I'd like to start with our mission statement. Macomb County Community Mental Health, guided by the values, strengths, and informed choices of the people we serve, provides quality services which promote recovery, community participation, self-sufficiency, and independence. I'd like to move on to number 2, the adoption of the agenda with one change with the removal of 4A, out-of-state travel, the veteran navigator. Take a motion to approve. Motion from Susan. Support from Selena. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is the hearing of the public. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, you have 5 minutes. Give us your name and address. Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Going once? Going twice? All right, we will close the hearing of the public. Next is item 4, we'll call it the new A, out-of-state travel Crossroads Clubhouse. Take a motion to approve. Motion from Kathy, support from Susan. Get you next time, Joe. Bruce, are you here? Did you want to speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just push the microphone button, would you, on the bottom there? Perfect, thanks.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight I brought with me a guest from Crossroads Clubhouse. And first, I guess I have to say that I'm really thrilled that Greg decided to come today. He's here with a heavy heart. He lost a family member recently, and when I asked him whether or not he was feeling up to coming today, he basically said Clubhouse first. So I'm really appreciative of the fact that even with a heavy heart, he's here. So I thought maybe I would allow Greg to introduce himself and to talk about the specific standard that talks about out-of-state travel.
My name is Greg Bolchak. I think that it's good to be learning about the different disabilities. As far as education, the Clubhouse assists members to reach their vocational and educational goals by helping them take advantage of educational opportunities in the community. When the Clubhouse also provides an in-house education program, it significantly utilizes the teaching and tutoring skills of members. The Clubhouse director, members, staff, and other appropriate persons participate in a comprehensive 2 or 3-week training program in the Clubhouse model at a certified training base.
So with that being said, in June of 2020, we will be fastly approaching our next 3-year accreditation. As part of that, we want to send some staff out of state in preparation for that accreditation. We have one new staff member, Tom Duncan, and he will greatly benefit from the 2-week training that focuses on all aspects of the Clubhouse model and all 37 of the Clubhouse International Standards. The secondary training is for Paulette Verbit to go to Massachusetts, where she'll be focusing on education and improving our transitional employment program. Right now we have 5 great community partners that we do transitional employment with. It appears that maybe there might be a 6th one, which is great for us. One of the Clubhouse International Standards is that 20% of your daily attendance participate in transitional employment, and with that 6th community partner will actually be over our 20%. So that's a great thing for the Clubhouse. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services has extended a grant to all clubhouses in Michigan, all 47 of us. And we actually had to apply for a grant in consideration for out-of-state training. We were given $6,000 by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to do these 2 out-of-state trainings. So our out-of-pocket cost is literally only going to be a couple $1,000s. In addition to that, there was another grant that was extended to me from Michigan State Extension, and I applied for that grant as well. And if that grant goes through, then our out-of-pocket cost for these 2 trainings is literally going to be a couple $100s. So it's a great deal for us. It's a great benefit to Crossroads Clubhouse. It enhances some of those foundations for the clubhouse model, and all that information gets shared with every member in the clubhouse. And so it's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you. Joan?
As you know, I serve on the executive board, not the executive board, the advisory board. I found out once I got there I couldn't tell them what to do. But anyway, they do a lot of fundraising too. And that money goes to the county and we draw on that money. So there's money to support something like this. And it's well worthy of it. And if you haven't been down to see the clubhouse since it's been refurbished, I think you should drop in.
Thank you, Joan. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
And thank you for coming, Greg.
Any other questions or comments from board members? All right, seeing none, we have a motion and support on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you both. Thanks, Greg, for coming. All right, next item is 4B, request approval to expand the existing contract with Macomb Family Services, Inc. to include the provision of adult residential services, Inc., effective February 1st, 2019 to September 30th, 2019. Motion by Lou, support from, I think, Linda, right? Susan? Support from Susan. Any comments or questions on this item? All right, it's pretty quiet, so seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next is item 4C, request approval to add psychiatric service codes to the community living services contract. Motion from Lou. Support from Brian. Any questions or comments on this? Kathy?
Thank you. I just wondered why those codes weren't in there before. Who can address? Christina?
I think we're going to get our answer.
It wasn't a service that they needed to offer before. They don't serve a large number of folks for us, and so as that number's increased, this service need has been apparent.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, we have a motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next is item 4D, request for approval to add out-of-home respite services to the Judson Center contract. Motion from Lou, support from Nick. Any questions or comments on this item? She's still standing if anybody has a question. All right, seeing none, we have a motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next is item 4E, request to approve Macosa provider contracts for fiscal year 19. Take a motion to approve. Motion from Linda, support from Joan. Does anybody want to come up and speak to this? Don't everybody jump at once. Lou's trying to say just stand up there and smile.
Tell me when it's enough. He's right. This is our contract for the year. We're quite a bit behind. We normally want to run these through in August or September, but there's a lot of reasons why we weren't able to get it done. And you may recall last month, the county attorney required us to jump through some more hoops than we were expected to, which I understand Dave had a discussion with Al at the city, and they think we have that resolved, and that piece shouldn't be there anymore. This is based on the agreement that we have with the state, and then this is the one that goes to the providers, and this is the general boilerplate, and then they all have, of course, individualized kind of terms that come out of it. There's only a couple areas that really have any kind of significance in terms of changes. If I can find my asterisk thing here, I'll get that. One is on page 10 that adds the requirement that the subcontractors will have to be trained and ready to do standardized assessments as of the end of this year. And that's a new requirement that's for the whole field, so anybody that's doing intakes has to use this, the GAIN I-4. So we're still fighting at that at the state level. It creates a whole lot of issues with us in terms of the amount of time it takes, the training that it takes, and all that. We're still kind of trying to work that out, but for now, that's a requirement in there that we had to add. The other item is on item 26, or page 26, and it's just a matter of inserting the county of Macomb as an additionally insured for all of our procured policies. And that one, Aaron Thomas inserted for that. Other than that, it's pretty much the same contract as we've had, well, last year anyways. So.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Linda and then Susan?
Susan was ahead of me. Randy, I'm back on page 10. Who is this, what is this Chestnut Health Systems? What is that?
Chestnut Health System is the vendor. They're the ones that created the standardized assessment that the state chose to use.
It's a local company?
No,
It's
I think it's from Connecticut. It's a commercial brand that has been used in others.
But the GAIN course is theirs.
Pardon?
Okay. The GAIN course is theirs.
Yes,
is the Chestnut.
yes,
Okay,
right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, through the chair to Randy, also on page 10 with regard to this course, you indicated that the state is requiring it, but there's some pushback from the provider or from, the community health, substance abuse agencies and whatever. Do we need any, I hate the thought of changing words in a contract, so I really don't want to propose that, but I just want to ask the question, should it be phrased that, according to the standards of the state, so that if the state backs down a little bit, that maybe we can not have this in there? I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, this is a clause that came right out of our contract from the state. So when we get those, we're supposed to use that language.
Okay.
There is a lot of pushback on it. We're all trying to comply and fight it at the same time.
Right.
So, but we still have to make sure that we're ready. In fact, and we just heard last week that it looks like they won't have to wait until September. They won't have to comply completely by this next September of this year. And they're going to push it back another year. So that piece of it shouldn't really be a factor, but it's really difficult to get people that are already trained to come in and then train the people they do. It's a 6-month process. So.
Okay. So just from a kind of a contractual logistics language, I mean, that's why I was asking whether, so you're telling us that really the date has already moved.
Yeah.
Even though this language says I got to have it done by
Right.
this September. Do we have clauses in here that cover that flexibility, or are we going to have to rewrite this thing?
No, you won't. It always says somewhere else in this contract, but I can't tell you right now where
Sure.
it is. But there are some protective clauses that say that they comply with what the state provides.
Okay,
You
as
know.
long as we're covered in that
Yeah.
regard. I just didn't want to have to put us back at square one to go through
Yeah.
the contracting process.
We want it back to square one and start a different instrument because we weren't consulted when this thing came into play.
Okay, as long as we're not going to find ourselves having to
No,
rework
we're
this
covered
very
on
lengthy
this.
process again. Okay, thank you.
Linda?
Who bears the cost of the training? The subcontractor, and can they put it in there?
The state has committed the funds to cover all of the training. And if we, it's costing about $9 million, I think, within the next year. In some regions, they've already hired a full-time coordinator to go out and do it within their region, as opposed to waiting for the state to come up with their trainings, because they're kind of slow when they come up that way. And we're not there yet. But we've got a couple of providers that have been through the trainings, and we could use them to train some of the other folks. But I probably said more than you wanted to hear, but.
No, never.
No. Okay.
I told you to just stand there and smile, Randy.
Yeah. Yeah, I got mixed messages there, so.
I called you up, and I know. Anybody else have any questions or comments? All right, Joan.
Well, I'd like to comment. I like your acronym, SOW.
I'm sorry?
I like the acronym. Isn't it SOW? Statement of work.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's it for questions or comments. We have a motion and support. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
All right, the agendas that are on your iPads is the full board agenda. So item G, request to approve statement of work, which Joan is looking at, won't be done until the full board. So I'm moving on to item 5, which is receive and file, which we have none. And then I will move to agenda item number 6, which is resolutions, a resolution for Christian Hansen from Open Access. I'll take a motion to approve that resolution. Motion from Linda, support from Lorianne. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Resolution passes. Other agenda items at this time. I just want to mention real quick that after program and budget, we're going to have full board right after Kathy and I switch seats. Dave, did you have anything now, or you want to wait till later? I will wait. Okay. Any other members have anything now, or want to wait till later? Perfect, we're all waiting until later. Next item is hearing of the public. Anybody from the public? Come on up, 5 minutes, give us your name and address. We can listen, we can't respond, but somebody will get back with you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ray Jewhurst, 15296 Frazo Road, Roseville, Michigan, 48066. Good evening. I have had the ability and privilege to return to Crossroads Clubhouse since November of 2018 due to the Medicaid deductible grant. I have always had a deductible, and when Medicaid laws and county funding changed, I lost all of my mental health services and currently see a private psychiatrist and therapist. But with the grant, I now have the one treatment element out of my reach, psychosocial rehabilitation. But with Crossroads has been extremely beneficial to me by keeping me out of the hospital and keeping my symptoms under control. In the 3 years I was unable to go to Crossroads, I was hospitalized over 10 times. Now, being hospitalized doesn't even seem likely because now I have a purpose. I go to Clubhouse 4 days a week and work in the kitchen. I have made new friends, including Greg, who was here with me tonight. Programs like Clubhouses are very beneficial to both the members and community, since in my opinion, the most important thing for mental health consumers is inclusion. And I personally know that if I wasn't part of a program bigger than myself, I would barely be in the community at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
So I just wanted to expand on that a little bit and talk about the deductible grant. People like Ray, absolutely right. Of the benefits for re-engaging with Crossroads Clubhouse or any psychosocial program that's throughout the state. Back in June, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services extended a grant to all PIHPs to participate in the Clubhouse deductible grant. Not all PIHPs participated in that, and I'm very sad that more didn't participate. The grant started on November 1st, 2018, and we sent our first quarterly report to them at the beginning of January. So I know that it's only just a month's worth of data, but I just wanted to share that information with the board tonight. Since the beginning of the grant, all total, we had 71 members come through the doors that's individuals come through the doors at Crossroads Clubhouse. Of those 71, 4 are Medicaid spend down individuals. The total amount of spend down that was used for that first month or that first quarter was $6,030. That's an average of $753.75 per member. Some of the successes that we've had with their return is returning members report that they have a purpose and a meaningful place to attend and feel welcomed. Members report having less symptoms, 0 hospitalizations, as Ray can attest to, since returning to the clubhouse. Another member reports feeling that they have hope and have friends again. A lot of people that we reached out to when we were extended that grant were very, very thrilled and excited about the opportunity to return to Clubhouse, but they were skeptical. Some of them are concerned that at the end of the grant, which is in September 2019, that they were going to be asked to leave again, and because of that, their return to Clubhouse is, it's scary for them. The good news is that the department has already extended an opportunity for us to continue that grant into 2019 and 2020, or 2020. So we're really, really excited about that. Some of the challenges is continue to get the word out to the community that Clubhouse is accepting Medicaid spend down folks, especially after a long history of not being able to serve those spend down individuals. And at this time, in terms of technical assistance, I'm very proud to say that for Crossroads Clubhouse, there's not been any technical assistance that we've needed thus far. So that is my update on the Medicaid spend down grant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gonna wait? Okay. Good, I like this. Everybody's gonna wait till full board. It'll be Kathy's problem. Anybody else for public participation going once, going twice, going thrice? All right, we will close public participation and I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting. Motion from Lori, support from Lou. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.
There'll be 2 minutes and the meeting will start. Okay, we'd like to call the meeting of Community Mental Health Full Board to order. And I'm going to once again read our mission statement. Macomb County Community Mental Health, guided by the values, strengths, and informed choices of the people we serve, provides quality services which promote recovery, community participation, self-sufficiency, and independence. And first order is adoption of the agenda, which would be also would exclude item 5A. Motion by Birdie, support by O'Connell. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is hearing of the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this board? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, we will move on then to the minutes, approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the board that was held on January 23 of 2019. Motion by Doherty, supported by Flynn. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes have approved. Next is item number 4, approval of standing committee meeting minutes. Are there any here? No. There's none. All right, and we will move on then to item, as soon as I get my agenda back, item 5, which on the agenda we're looking at online is items B through C, B through F were approved at the program and budget meeting. Motion by Doherty and supported by Shermatero to approve in their entirety. Any more questions of Randy? No. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then the next one is a request to approve statement of work for AFIA.
Support.
Motion by Flynn, support by Doherty. Who would like to explain that, give an overview?
This is a modification to a contract that we were currently operating under for this fiscal year that was approved by the board. Our SQL report writer was on a contract position, and glad for him, he found a full-time position with benefits and the whole deal. And he also continued because he really believed strongly in what we were doing, and he continued to offer to give us up to 10 hours a week of report writing. And he has been doing that for us. But that leaves us a little short of even the other 30 hours we were hoping to get him for. So after discussion with Jim and Tracy, we approached AFIA and asked them to make some suggestions and see if we could find something that was within the costs that we expected to spend. And AFIA came back with a suggestion of this modification of the contract, which is a modification of 4 hours a week. And that's an average, and they also reduced their hourly costs. And so the combination of Jabron's 10 hours and AFIA's 10 hours, or 14 hours, is less than we would have paid Jabron for the same amount of time. Yes?
So you're saying the bottom line total amount changes, doesn't change, goes down, goes up?
The hourly rate goes down by $5 an hour, and it adds 4 hours, 4 hours a week on average. And if you would have taken the 30 hours we had designated for report writing services, the combination of the 10 hours from Jabron and the 14 hours from AFIA will be slightly less than we would have spent for the 30 hours of report writing.
Okay, but I'm looking at the bottom line. The total, estimated total, is $91,333.36. Is that more or less or equal to the previous?
It's more.
And it's more by how much?
It's more by the approximate 20 hours a week we would have paid Gibran, our SQL report writer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So if you add this 91,000 and what you were paying Gibran or anticipated paying Gibran, and
I think what we're looking for is the modification, the difference between the original contract and the modification.
yeah, and what I'm trying to get is, does this cost, if you add both pieces together, you're saying it costs us slightly less?
Yes,
So we're paying a fee more, but we're paying, because we're paying Gibran more.
right.
Okay, the other question that I have, if I may, Madam Chair, is when we did this, we did it for IT purposes, which is a good thing and all, but the representation was that it would save money by giving us a better picture of where we were at so we could make better decisions in-house. Where are we on that?
That's an overlap with the data warehouse, which is a separate project. This contract was brought forward because we were told that we can't slow down the reporting because of the data warehouse. So my department has been fulfilling the daily report requests that come from quite a few places in our organization, and we just try to get these reports written as fast as we can.
Okay,
And get-
maybe I'm getting it confused, but with.
Jim, did you want to help with that?
Maybe Jim, yeah, I think the question goes to Jim.
Yeah, excuse me, and, yeah, there are two different projects, two different contracts. We do have a second quarter report that's available that we were going to give the option, depending on time for tonight, to do that tonight or to do it next month.
Okay, so we're going to get that.
Yes.
report. Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Lou?
My question is, since we've lost the report writing person, who writes the reports now?
We still get reports written for us by Gibran, up to 10 hours a week. And the proposal, and we have the 10 hours a week with a FIA for report writing specifically. This would just increase that by 4 more hours a week to try to keep up with the report requests that come in through my inbox.
Somehow, that doesn't balance out, as I'm hearing you say it. We had someone for 30 hours a week who was writing reports.
Yes.
Now we have Althea at more money for 4 hours a week, writing reports that substitutes for the 30 hours, and that's a good deal.
I was asked to try to do something in a cost-neutral manner. I wasn't asked to expand a contract or hire a new staff. I was asked to keep this cost-neutral to what we would have paid our SQL report writer for 30 hours. We're getting a lot of high-end talent out of this contract, and that's my explanation.
But did you understand what I'm saying? It doesn't seem to
Yeah,
balance.
I'm not getting 30 hours a week of report
It certainly
writing.
doesn't seem to balance, and it's more money, less hours, and less reporting time, and it's a better opportunity, so I should vote for it, right?
I was just trying to find a solution that would keep my department moving forward.
Bill, if I could?
Yes.
Am I correct in
Somehow
saying?
it doesn't make
Just,
sense.
we're getting another explanation.
We had a FIA at 10 hours a week. We've added 4, so a FIA's at 14, and we're keeping Gibran at 10. So total report writing is 24 hours a week
Yes.
versus the 30, and we're paying less money for the 24 hours than we would have for the 30.
Yes. Well, no, we're paying less money for 10, for 14 than we would for 30 for Gibran.
Okay.
Nick?
So, if I could, just more of an arithmetic question. We had a FIA for 10, and we had Gibran for 30. That's a total of 40.
Right.
So we now have a FIA for 14 and Gibran for 10. That's a total of 24. So we're not going from 30 to 24, we're going from 40 to 24, right? but the total cost goes down, but not proportionately.
But it is more money.
I thought he said it was less money.
No, it is more money.
No, it's less money than we would have paid our SQL report writer for 30 hours.
We're paying less money for the 24 hours than we were paying for the 40, obviously.
You have to focus on the modification, which was, we've lost 20 hours of Gibran's reporting time.
Right.
We're adding 4 hours of highly skilled reporting time to that. And you have to remember that I was asked to do this in a cost-neutral way.
I'm not trying to be critical, I'm
No,
just
I
trying to
understand.
understand.
I'm just trying to be clear.
Because the bottom line is less money, right? But the bottom line also is we're going from 40 hours of writing to 24 hours.
I
of
accept
writing,
that.
which is less time. I guess it's the per hour, that is higher, I assume.
No, the per hour is actually slightly lower. The original contract
If
for
you
10
added
hours.
what we paid Gibran for
Oh,
30
yes.
hours, and what we paid Afia for 10, and so you took the whole 40 and you divided that by 40, that number would be lower because Gibran was cheaper basically than what Afia is, but Afia is cutting their rate down, so we're getting 14 hours at a reduced per hour rate from the 10, but at a higher rate than the 30.
That's true.
So the bottom line is we're spending less money, but we're getting significantly less hours.
I acknowledge that.
On a per hour basis, we're paying more.
And my original question was, who's making up for the lost reporting time? Because you're not going to get the same amount of hour commitments to produce reports. And you're telling me you can get by with less reporting time than we originally had a contract for, that I believe I voted no on to begin with. So my question is, after all is said and done, you're going to have less reporting time, and that's adequate. So, number one, who's making up for the difference? And we're back to my original question that we were overpaying to begin with.
I can't
I'd
answer.
love an answer.
Well, I can't answer that question, Lou. I was asked to do this to expand this contract in a cost-neutral fashion. I just followed the instructions I was given.
Okay.
Is there,
Okay.
I have a question. Is there an assumption that, I heard the phrase higher skilled level, that perhaps the reporting will be done faster or in a different manner we would still do? I guess the bottom line is, are we going to get adequate reporting for what we need?
I've talked to Bill and to Jim about the importance of data reporting. So we're currently looking at all of our resources in that area to see what we can come up with to make sure that it is adequate going forward. AFIA does have a group of report writers available to them that they can tap into at any time in specialty areas to meet our needs. So this I would consider a Band-Aid temporarily while we explore other options and total cost.
Okay. Nick, do you still have a follow-up?
Yeah, you just threw me a curveball there. I'm trying to figure out, I think, and it basically goes to what Lou is saying. We said we needed, or you said we needed, 40 hours of writing assistance. Now we've lost the less expensive writer for 2/3 of the work. We're picking up with the more expensive writers at a reduced rate from what they were otherwise charging us. Understand all of that. The question is, is 24 hours sufficient? And I'm hearing one say yes and one saying, well, for now, but we'll probably be back.
We don't know what's sufficient right now.
And I didn't say yes. I said I worked with what the parameters that I was
You're
asked to work with.
saying that's what we can afford within this contract?
As I understand it, yes.
And is that your position as well, Mr. Pankatow?
Yeah, for right now, it was a cost-neutral mechanism to move us forward, keep us moving forward. But we have to look at all of the data requests that are coming in. How are they prioritized? Jim and I met with Jeff Chang from PCE to try to clarify the difference between what PCE is able to generate for us and what AFIA is. So we're just starting to get a total look at what exactly we need and how much time will that take going forward.
PCE is?
Peter Chang Enterprises, they're the focus.
Okay. I know that. And have we looked at trying to move any of this in-house? Because it sounds to me like the reason we lost Brian was because he got a 40-hour work week job with benefits. And so what would that cost us to do it internally? I'm not asking you for an answer right this minute because I don't expect you to have it off the top of your head, but I'd hope you'd factor that in as well.
I have, however, we had admin 3 position with a SQL report writer years back. We also lost him once he gained experience to another job. And I wasn't allowed to fill that position. That position, due to our financial situation, has been idle. We had brought in a contractor to try to help internally, and then he became our SQL report writer. The AFIA contract helped him to learn much quicker, because you have to understand that these people from AFIA have years of SQL reporting experience. We've hired 3 now in a row that we kept for about 2.5 years before this experience tied them into a job that pays nearly what I make. So we have to deal with our financial realities. We're just trying to get by with them.
Are you through, Nick?
Well, I am and I'm not. I mean, I think I'm through with the questioning. I have a real concern that, 1, that it is a Band-Aid, and 2, that it may cost us a lot of money. And we may have been penny wise and pound foolish by not filling the position originally and now having to go to an outside contractor who's significantly more expensive, albeit more experienced, but it's significantly more expensive on a per hour basis. And that concerns me, and I just guess I'm saying I don't have a real problem with the Band-Aid, but I may have a big problem with the next step. Because I had serious reservations, you'll recall. You won't, because it was before you were here. But I had serious reservations about this contract in the first place with AFIA. And now my concerns are getting greater because, like what often happens when we contract out, there's a change order, essentially, that increases our aggregate cost. And we're shifting, rather than finding another Gibran that'll work 30 hours, we're shifting 20 of his hours over to AFIA at a higher rate per hour than we were paying him, and getting 4 hours instead of 16, because that's all we can afford at the higher rate. So I have some serious reservations, not so much about this Band-Aid, but what may come up next, because it's going in the direction that I feared it would go.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a quick clarification. This is different than the data project.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
That. But it plays into the data project.
They're absolutely related.
But I had problems with both the data project and
Right.
and this.
With this particular contract, and I think where the Band-Aid piece comes in is that we tried to do something that was cost neutral. We had, established that plan, the savings plan, that we hope will get us budget neutral at the end of this fiscal year. This will get us to that point. And that point, we'll have a financial report next month, I believe. And then as that the fiscal year moves on and we see where our financial status is, we can kind of reevaluate, all right, how do we move forward? Is it with a contract? Is it something that we can look at? Can we establish another data reporting position in-house? I think we really have to look at our financial status before we can really make that determination. As Bill said, we need, our effort was to make this budget neutral.
But but the bottom line is, while we made it close to budget neutral, or maybe even a little savings.
Little savings.
We're getting for roughly the same amount of money, 4 hours, where we were getting 16 hours.
I acknowledge this. This thing
So
developed very quickly.
We're not fighting here. I mean,
I know.
I think we're just trying to clarify. And so even though we're not spending any more money, if we're spending the same amount of money for 4 hours that we used to get 16 hours for, we're spending more money on an hourly basis, which is what, on a per unit basis. And it's like when you go to the grocery store, you want to look at the per unit price, whether you want to buy the big size or the little size. And now we're buying a bigger size at a higher per unit cost and getting a lot less units. So, I mean, I think this is the best we're going to be able to do under our current budget situation, but it's something we're going to have to take a real close look at down the road.
I support that idea.
All right, thank you. On the first round, Linda?
I just wonder, aren't there some efficiencies that the company who built it is doing it? I mean, that
Well-
it's a production, increased production because it's their thing. So you're getting,
Yes.
maybe, I don't know, but maybe getting the product at fewer hours.
Well, we're talking about people that have been working in the mental health field for 20 and longer years, so you're getting a lot of experience. You have people at the company that understand the financial aspects of the mental health industry. You have the owner of the company came from Washtenaw. He was one of the first PCE customers. These people come in with a lot of highly skilled experience. The jobs we tend to hire internally are lower paid, and these people, we're only finding people that are really looking for experience. And then we've kept them all about 2 to 3 years, and then 2 of them make more money than I do. And we couldn't offer benefits to our SQL report writer, who we would love to have back. But people in contract positions and people that are looking for experience in the field, that's what we've experienced since we've started.
Is this, what's he have, 10 hours now? Is that going to be enough to keep it with? Does that entice him? Will we have him for a while at that arrangement? Because we wouldn't want to.
Well, as it's generally related to the data warehouse, and I hate to bring that topic up tonight, but we see a lot of these report things moving into the data warehouse. We're seeing that start to actually happen, and when Jim shows you the review of the data warehouse, I think you'll see that as well. So we think that we may solve this differently in the future. We're just not there yet. And the other advantage is, while we're hiring really high experienced services, we're not establishing long-term relationships. So we're not hiring someone that's going to expected to stay with us until they retire. So this was our best guess at what do we do right now to solve this problem? Because the requests and the pace of the requests haven't stopped coming in. We just, with only the 10 hours, the existing 20 hours combined, we're not going to keeping up with all the requests.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, thank you. Lou?
Well,
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lou.
I've been searching my memory back to when this contract originally came forward, and I'm having some difficulty recollecting the entire situation, but generally speaking, my basic concern was that it was not really an appropriate fit for the dollar amounts, in the sense that it presented an open-end situation. That's dangerous. My concern tonight is that here's the first open-end situation. And it's being presented as a cost-neutral solution, but it presents more dollars for less productive hours, and that's presented as okay, and it's a Band-Aid. What's the next move? Because there's a next move that's coming for sure. What does this board do when you show up and say, gee, the Band-Aid didn't stick, so now we have this problem with Althea that we haven't bothered to correct when we should have corrected it originally, and here's the first Band-Aid, and where's number 2 and number 3 coming? Because without offense, honestly, they're on the horizon, aren't they? Because the next move is going to be, we're not getting the reports covered, we're going to need more hours, and it's going to cost more money. That's exactly what's going to happen, because my objection was the contract wasn't fitting appropriately, that provided a protective situation for our operation, and I was right. So what do I do now? Do I vote for a Band-Aid knowing you got another Band-Aid on the horizon, and within 2 months you'll be back, for sure, saying we have to make another adjustment? What do I do then? What do I do tonight?
Okay, I think that you raised good points, and I think that the staff will consider that when they come.
I think it's a reasonable question.
It's a reasonable question, and so they're going to come back. A Band-Aid is something, a temporary thing. It has to be changed. It has to be evaluated, and they're going to, already said they'll come back with another proposal.
Right.
Thank you for the comments.
And that's the point, Madam Chairperson.
Susan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I've been just going back over the numbers here, and I guess I just want to make sure that I understand it, because I've heard you phrasing it a couple different ways, and I want to make sure I'm understanding right what we're doing. Originally, we were paying about $78,000 a year to AFIA.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, in this agreement, the other project aside, we were getting about 520 hours of report writing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that's $150 an hour for that report writing services. In addition to that allocation, we were paying a contract employee. I don't know how much we were paying him, and I'm not going to ask you to say it on the record, but we were paying him for a 30-hour-a-week job, which is about 1,560 hours in a year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so whatever that amount will be, which I can get off record. So now what we're asking to do is to reduce the cost of that contractor cost to another number, something less, right?
A slight reduction.
A slight reduction?
A slight reduction per hour, yeah.
Well, I don't want per hour, I want a total cost, right? I mean, like, I want to know what our costs are going to be, right? So then if we're reducing his hours and presumably taking those dollars, right, and shifting them over, you're saying that the net is less money spent in totality. The difference is that we're really losing 16 hours of report writing time.
That's correct.
And in your professional estimation, are we going to be able to, is AFIA going to be able to absorb that in the services that they're providing? Because that's our concern, right? We don't want to leave you short.
I understand your concern. When this problem arose and I found out we were losing our report writer, even with the 10 hours a week, I went to Jim. I've talked about it with Dave.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to find a solution that we thought the board would support, and that's what we've presented. Dave asked me, will this help us keep up with the reporting demands? And my honest answer was, I'm not going to know until we've had it for a while.
Okay.
AFIA feels strongly that it will. This isn't a permanent contract with AFIA, even though some people have suggested it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best solution I could form faced with this problem in February 2019. What do I do now?
Right. So, I mean, this is just the duration of this contract. It's not even a year-long contract, right? It's just for the
For the
remainder.
duration of this year, yes.
Yeah, so what we're proposing, instead of paying a fee of $78,000 for 520 hours of work, we're gonna pay them, I don't know, I had the numbers written down here, for 620 hours of work, we're gonna pay them $91,000. But if you divide it out, their hourly rate has come down
Yes.
to like 125.
And we're about halfway into the year, so.
Yeah, and they'll prorate. But I guess my concern is that their pricing for if we need additional hours, it pops back up to 150 in this contract. Do we know why that is? I'm surprised they wouldn't just continue it at that rate.
We kept within the number of hours scheduled in the contract so far every year. We have not exceeded the number of hours.
Yeah, but that was when you had somebody here writing 40 hours a week, or 30 hours a week.
And the process that we put in place is that if we were to come up with let's say another report popped up from the state that we had to generate and we had to get to it, we would present this to Jim and presumably Dave as well and get a sign off on, let's say, finance or some department needs a special report done that's not falling within the normal report cycle. We would submit that project as an additional item for approval. So we would not exceed the total number of hours that were planned in the project.
Right. Yeah, I'm fearful that when you guys come here and ask for additional assets for reporting, I'm afraid of what reception you're going to get here, because I recognize that could happen, right? We don't know what the state's going to do. We don't know what the efficiency of this is. We hope that it's going to be more efficient, but we really don't know that, right?
I certainly understand.
Yeah, so I guess I want to prepare my colleagues for the fact that some of the fears that have been expressed, they could come to fruition, but I don't want us all sitting here saying, I told you so. The circumstances could change, right? The business may dictate that we have to have additional reporting, or there could be issues uncovered or whatever. I mean, it's very common in IT situations. So I hear what you're saying, and I believe I seconded the motion. I'm still going to support this motion. One of the things I value having talent on hand, on staff that can do this for us, because there is a quickness to that, right? And having somebody that's familiar with your people and your surroundings and the nomenclatures that we use and the language that we speak. But there's also some fear about putting all your eggs in one basket. When you lose when you're a small organization and you lose a resource like that, the pain is tremendous. When you subcontract it out and they have multiple people assets that they can spread across multiple clients, you can move and shuffle and fill and gap and still maintain your quickness. When we lose a position, it takes us a long time to refill that position. It's very painful for us.
I've experienced that several times in my department.
Yeah, so I am in favor of this contract. I recognize that at this point, it's cost neutral or cost savings, and that we are faced with the risk that it might end up, depending upon circumstances, costing us a little bit more. I don't think it's a bad deal based on the hourly rate. We have been able to drive down the hourly rate, and hopefully because we have other business with them, they, of course, would be reasonable on, how many hours it takes to do any given report. I would think they would be fair with us, so.
And my department, in now the fourth year of this contract, is kept within the quoted hours for the week.
Right.
So we have come out of the year without having to add any hours. That affects the priority of reporting. Of course, executive office gets the first priority, finance gets the second, and all other reports are after them.
Yeah.
So that's
It's
a
hard,
reality
though, 'cause
that we have to face.
Yeah, the data is needed. I mean, all the data, you have to have it, and I think AFIA has demonstrated through their initial reporting of the cost savings that they have for us with the hospitalization rates. I mean, I feel like this is a good move, and it gives us some stability to work with. So I'm not opposed to this contract, but I just want you to really watch it, and I really would I want to watch how they count their hours, and I want you to watch, if we have to go over, I really think they should be in a position to continue excess hours at the $125 an hour rate rather than the $150. I don't know why they are. I don't know why they're going up from there.
They went down. I didn't follow you. The
So-
original 10-hour contract was at $150 Oh, you mean for extra hours?
For extra
I'm sure we
hours.
can make that request, and I'm sure they will comply with that request.
You know, given that we're doing other business with them, I just feel like that would be in the spirit of good business. Okay, thank you.
Another option would be when we get requests for a report, we charge for it. Just, we have a motion on the floor. All
You
in-
got Dave and Jim on the hook for some money there.
She meant external sources, ask for reports.
We don't provide external reports
By
at this
the,
point.
no, by the department that asks for it, charge them, bill them back.
Oh, the state of Michigan.
Not them. Never mind. We'll move on. We'll move on. We will move on. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. We have, how many noes? 2 noes? Nagovan and Birdie.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. Next is, we don't have any receiving files, correct? Nothing to receive and file. Item number 7 is the resolution that we approved at Program and Budget for Christian Hansen. Motion by Doherty, support by Kraft. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Next is item number 8, the voucher listing, payment of the bills. Motion by Birdie. Support by O'Connell. Any questions? Comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is the management report.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll try to be brief here. In your packet, I included an article about states are reconsidering restrictive Medicaid waiver policies. I included that because it includes a quote from Governor Whitmer, who has written a letter to CMS that the Michigan statute is more sweeping than the Arkansas, which he compared that one to, and the number of Michiganders who would stand to lose Medicaid coverage under the the new requirements for work within the Medicaid law. State law requires that Governor Whitmer to carry out the Medicaid waiver, but she urged the legislature to make changes that encourage work without undermining the health or the finances of hardworking Michiganders. So we need to continue to track that to see if what impact, if any, that has on our county. At the updates at the state level, in addition, we have begun the contract negotiations with the department for next fiscal year. Kimberly Cope has been involved in the phone conferences and the meetings on that item. The state has also initiated new financial monitoring requirements, so when we're talking about reports, it is timely. We are now being asked to report in great detail on a monthly basis to the state. I believe that's out of their concern of the number of PIHPs and their financial status. We did ask for delays as a group. We asked the department to put that off. I did receive the response just before today's meeting that they do still plan to move forward, and it'll begin in March. And they'll continue to work with us as they enact their new oversight activities. So we weren't successful in postponing that. In response, I mentioned in my last month's report that we had asked for more transparency in the Milliman funding model. We do have access to the data detail to see what Milliman is looking at when they're determining the Medicaid rates. Again, the state is actuarially sound at their level, but then as soon as they start to divvy it up amongst the 10 regions, it loses all actuarial soundness. So we don't have access to the algorithms that the department is using to spread that money out among the 10 regions, but we'll continue to ask along those lines. The Milliman is working on the behavioral health fee schedule development, and of course there's a costing tool that goes along with that. which again is more data reporting. The PIHPs as a group have pushed back, saying it's an administrative burden, it's overreaching, will not achieve the stated goals, and that the timelines are not sufficient. But again, the state's moving forward. At the regional level, the legislative breakfast that was planned for February the 6th was canceled due to the ice storm at that time. I know Selena and Linda and I and Lou were kind of hoping not to get stuck in Kalamazoo at the conference during the ice storm. Going back to my report, previous report too, at the Metro Region Dinner, there was a commitment to resolve the longstanding COFR, or County of Financial Liability or Responsibility issues, in the next 90 days. Those meetings are being scheduled and planned. Christina has volunteered to be our point in that area, and she's not disagreeing yet, so we're good there. Locally, I can pass my 2-month mark, so I've been here for and as of tomorrow morning, I will have completed all of my visits to the sites within Macomb County. I'm meeting with staff, learning a lot and enjoying that. Also at this point, Kathy, I did submit a work plan that's in your packet for review, and I don't know if you want to make that an action item or at this point.
Does that conclude your report?
No, we can do it at the end of the report. Again, flashing back to last month, I had comments about Molina and the outstanding claims in that area. We have been successful in connecting with them, and we are moving forward. There's a lot of positive movement in that area. I have been invited to attend the March 13th meeting of the Board of Commissioners. So, thank you, Phil. I will be here for that. Again, reporting, the Office of Inspector General has new reporting requirements on us. Kimberly Cope is our lead in that area. The report is incredibly detailed and is taking a lot of our resources to complete that as well. So we do have new reporting guidelines being mandated from outside sources. Crisis intervention team training, MCOSA and the Community Mental Health are partnering with the Sheriff's Department to provide a crisis intervention team training for its officers. We will enhance the officers' ability to manage situations with individuals who are experiencing a mental health crisis. The training is designed to help those officers in the appropriate care. They'll provide training on topics such as the autism, bipolar, suicide, substance abuse, the community resources that are available to help those folks, the law regarding petitioning people for help, and we're looking forward to that collaboration. On Friday, March the 8th, I will be part of a panel discussion on campus safety at Oakland University's Macomb County site. That's from 11 to 12. And I will be working with the board members here on scheduling a board study session specific to the residential services and the details related to that. Then, as Jim and Bill commented, not to go back, there we do have additional AFIA information about the data warehouse. That'll be up to your discretion as board members if you'd like to hear that tonight or put it off to next month's agenda. So that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Before I take questions, if anyone has questions or comments, we have the criteria for the calendar year 2019 and this that Dave passed out, and most of it we had when we first approved the contract.
Right.
And part of the contract, it was said then we wanted to have some kind of criteria that we would use. We never approved it, or actually, we didn't, it's a matter of receiving and filing. So I would like to entertain a motion to receive and file this criteria. Motion by
No, I have a
Schmidt.
question.
Okay, motion by Schmidt. Who would like to support it? Support by Flynn. Okay, Linda?
So this is just the original, it's not been updated. This is.
There
this
might be a
is the
few
way it
editing.
was.
And do you want to comment on?
I did make 2 edits. On item, row number 2, I did change it to March 31st.
David, get closer to the microphone, Brad.
I put the microphone closer to me. Is that better? Okay. For item number 2, I changed the due date to March 31st of this year. In the original, I goofed. I was planning to give myself a full 90 days, and then I went and I read this again. So I made an edit on that date from the end of February to the end of March. And again, in item number 6, I think that date used to be March 1st, and now it says the end of March. So I will have all of my report to the board and the additional information listed in item number 6 available to you by the end of March.
Thank you. That's my birthday.
Oh, good. Happy birthday almost.
All right, so on this motion right now, any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so now we've officially received and filed this. And any other comments or questions of Dave, of his report? Seeing none, thank you very much. And we will move on then to other agenda items. Do any other board members have any other items?
Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Flynn?
Thank you much, Madam Chair. There will be a recipient rights appeals hearing request. So I put it down for Monday, March 18th at 7:30 at Hall Road.
Is that an appeal?
Pardon? Got it?
March 18th?
March 18th,
Monday, March 18 at 7:30
correct.
for recipient rights appeal?
Yeah, a hearing, yes.
Okay, thank
And
you.
also, there's going to be an ORR audit, March 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I need a member to appear in my vice chair of recipient rights, Linda Bush.
I just have a question about that. Didn't we just do this? We just had 194,
Yeah, I know, but this has to be done, and this will be good for 3 years.
but this is a new audit?
Yeah.
Do you know, Barb, is
Yeah,
that?
remember Mark told us that they were changing the date for us having our audit with some of the other larger boards?
Can you
So we
speak in your?
just did one, less than
Right,
6
so
months
we
ago.
have it now,
This is
but we
another
won't
one.
have it again
Okay.
for 3 years.
Yeah, we won't have another.
Okay, thanks. I'll do it for you, Joan.
What,
Okay.
I'm not clear on what audit are you speaking of?
The recipient rights audit. They're coming in March 5th, 6th, and 7th, and they want somebody there. So Linda is vice chair, so I nominated her to take it. She'll be there. They don't need all the members there.
Another recipient rights audit?
Yeah,
And
that's-
this will be good for 3 years. Next on the agenda is our PAC. We have a PAC campaign coming up, and I'll have to have your money in by April. And you make the check out to CMH PAC. And usually we each give $35 a per diem. So if you cooperate, and then we're still in the drawing for the suite at the Detroit Tigers. And I hope they do better this year, or else forget it. But anybody can give money for the PAC. Oh, we usually do have 100%. I'll have to twist some arms. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Anyone else? Nick?
Yeah, as I indicated previously, I would keep you informed of the town hall group's activities as sponsors thereof. The town hall activities group has requested a meeting with the governor and the director of the department to report on the town hall results. That has not yet been set up. I expect to hear back within the next few days from the governor's office. We have also invited all of the members of the legislature to a box lunch. Last time I mentioned we were going to do that, a box luncheon at the Capitol building. They'll walk in and out between sessions, 12 to 1:30. It's now been established for March 13th, which is 2 weeks from today, between noon and 1:30 at the Capitol building in room 405. The room isn't ideal. The Capitol's under a lot of construction right now, but Senator Ananek, who's minority leader in the Senate, was good enough to sponsor us. We have had some RSVPs so far. Everyone's invited, but this is essentially intended as for the legislators. We'll be making about several 10-minute presentations. The planning group has put that together. Just tell you, I had it here a minute ago, and then I kept moving things around. Yes, here it is. Bob McCreevy will be giving a personal story to put a face to the issues, telling his story. You've all heard Bob's story. It's been here. And then Bob Sheehan from the Michigan the Community Mental Health Association of Michigan now will give a history of mental health funding shortfalls and trends over the years on a statewide basis. Fred Cummins from Oakland AMI will talk about the inadequacy of the funding. Again, this is less a county thing, which of course we have our particular problems in Macomb, but this is an overall mental health issue, funding issue. I'll be giving a brief synopsis of the problems of the Section 298 issue, the privatization and HMOs, whatever you want to call it. And Margie Mitchell of Michigan will be giving a brief discussion on funding considerations or future funding considerations and needs, and how it is. The cuts have been penny wise and pound foolish, so the reverse of that, if you will. The rest of the time, we tend to make it fairly casual so that people can talk to each other, and we can try to identify people who want to make mental health issues of prime importance with so many new legislators. That's a critical piece. Obviously, the committee members and the subcommittee members are easy to identify, but there will be others, I think, that will have a particular interest. All of the sponsors, including Macomb Community Mental Health, will be getting more detailed information shortly, and an invitation if they want to put materials on the table. We'll have a table that will have places for handouts, or want to participate in the discussion. Of course, anyone's invited.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Linda? And then Phil?
You may recall last year, or maybe 2017, but the House of Representatives in Michigan went around to different communities and had forums called the House Cares Committee, and the Citizens Advisory Council and many of the parents were very involved in giving testimony at those events, and they weren't that hopeful that anything would happen. But they issued a report, and the recommendations were so apparent that they had listened, that they had gotten it, and they even recommended things that cost money. So I was very encouraged, only to be disappointed. During the last year, they maybe funded one of their own recommendations. In lame duck, with all that extra money and people calling, they didn't fund any more. Now, I'm told by Mr. Kraft that they are now revisiting some of their own recommendations, and they're having hearings. Mr. Pluo was very involved in it, and so we're going to give a report to the Citizens Advisory Council for them to be active and so forth, and get more information on, to kind of move these, fund these. They were great recommendations. They were things, some of them cost money, things cost money. The idea that they're revisiting it is really kind of, I was very surprised. As I visited some of their Facebook pages, they had the big logo, House Cares, and I thought, how can you say that when you didn't fund the programs? But now they're revisiting, so that's the good news. And more to come. Keep you posted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil, for your report on it.
Thanks for giving the report. Madam Chair, I have 2 items. The first one, can we get the March dates for our meetings?
March dates for our meeting?
I have
Our board
those.
meetings?
Here they are.
The program and budget meeting will be Wednesday, March 13th at 6 in this room. Our full board is March the 27th at 6 p.m. in this room.
Thank you. That was a request from Joan. Secondly, since we're all making comments for everybody else tonight, the second item I had is Governor Whitmer gave her first State of the State address a couple weeks ago. I was going to mention this at the program and budget meeting 2 weeks ago when it was fresh, but there were a couple words in her address that I was looking for. Community mental health, opioid crisis, items like that. I listened to her speech twice and I didn't hear those words at all, and it was very disheartening to me. So I'm happy that with Nick's report that these groups are going to come and report to her. I know it's only been 2 months. There's a lot on her plate. I get it. But hopefully we can help push that conversation, and either with those groups or our board here or the association can get with the governor and help, with what we're going through. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, just to comment, I was also disheartened on that point. Hopefully, we'll have better news on March 5th, which is, I believe, when the governor's going to submit her budget. I don't know. It's going to be, we had hoped to schedule, this town hall group had hoped to schedule a meeting before the State of the State and before the budget. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to do either for obvious reasons. The roads keep getting in the way, as you know, as somebody familiar with the legislature. But we are going to keep pushing, and so I just want to share that I too was disappointed that we didn't get something into the State of the State, but I'm more interested in getting something into the budget, and if it's not in the budget, we'll continue to battle it in the legislature to approve it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I just, in the previous meeting, there was under public comments, Bruce had talked about the spend down grant for Clubhouse, and I was interested in how that worked, and which is why I had conversation with him. And it's a grant that they actually bill the time that consumers are at Clubhouse, then we can bill for that and then get reimbursed. And then in some cases, they do meet their deductible and they can receive other services as well. So I think that's a great grant that's out there. So, because then it's real services being offered and real money being paid, not just with triple value. So, yeah, thank you. Next item is hearing of the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this board? I think there is, because they were all waiting for this meeting. If you'd like to come up to the lectern, please identify yourself and your address, and you have 5 minutes. While we can't respond to your statements, we will get information if you so need it.
My name is Tony Plua. You want my address too?
The city is good.
I live in Shelby Township for 39 years. I'm a member of your Citizens Advisory Council, and Linda called out my name a moment ago because I got involved with our local House of Representatives, a fellow named Doug Wozniak. And I almost fell off my chair when he said something to me that 90% plus of the people that he's surrounded with in Lansing haven't a clue about what we're about. That brings us to the point where we need to talk to our legislators. We've heard that 10 times. I haven't heard anybody else moving ahead talking to a legislator, but it's going to be a mandatory thing for us to do that. And number two, I have a personal experience that taking your loved one to those coffee clutches and those meetings is very beneficial. What's beneficial in my particular case, I found out that this guy is my neighbor. And he's just going to get a boatload from me on behalf of this whole board. Anyway, Linda said she heard something good that I did. I don't know what that was, but it must have been. Thank you. Anyway, that's my speech for today.
Great.
Take your loved one with you. That's the message that we have to give, because the legislators need to see who they're spending their money on and who they're benefiting. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry, Madam Chair. I'm hoping you're not tired of hearing from me tonight. Bruce Dutton, Director for Crossroads Clubhouse. I just wanted to announce to the board that tomorrow Crossroads Clubhouse is having an annual business retreat. We did this 1 year ago as a result of some of the activities, some of the events that were happening in Ottawa last year. If you do recall, where a couple clubhouses were at significant risk of being closed. We took that opportunity to come together and do a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, as you know, talks about any program's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Out of that SWOT analysis, we identified 5 things that we wanted to focus on as a clubhouse. One was, of course, renewing our Clubhouse International accreditation, which is coming up in June of 2020. So it's not too early to start thinking about that and focusing on that, thus the reason why we're sending people out of state for training. That will bring back action plans so that we can improve our clubhouse. Secondarily, advocacy. That was one of the things that came out of the SWOT analysis of something that we need to do a little bit better. Third was diversity, diverse funding, which is one of the reasons why we're having our retreat tomorrow. The fourth thing was diversity of our advisory board and making sure that we're maximizing the potential of the advisory board. And then the fifth thing is expanding the advisory board to make sure that we're reaching out to lots of different partners within the community to strengthen the advisory board. One of the things that we're focusing on tomorrow is not only a strategic plan, which would be more of a 3-year plan of how to continue to improve Crossroads Clubhouse, but also the advisory board. I challenged the advisory board to start thinking outside the box in terms of how does the clubhouse maintain functionability in the event that funding terminates for that clubhouse. There's no guarantee that I will remain a county employee. Things could change, and those type of supports could no longer be available to the clubhouse. But I want to make sure that there is at least some financial, some financial stability for them so that they can continue even if CMH is not part of that. As a result of that, the advisory board has spent a significant amount of time exploring becoming a 501c3. 501c3 is by no means an intent to be a threat to Macomb County. It's actually intended to be a partnership, really, and to fill some of the gaps that Macomb County is not responsible for doing. Things like continuing education and allowing and affording people an opportunity to go back to school to get their GEDs or 2-year degrees or whatever they want. Housing support, if people want or need to move into their own housing environment, a 501c3 could help support them in doing that. And there's other initiatives that I think that would be beneficial for the advisory board to become their own 501c3. So I wanted to be, kind of open and make sure that everyone was aware that the advisory board is looking at that and going to pursue that. I've sent several invitations to people that I have a tremendous amount of respect for, that I think that would be good, partners in terms of moving the clubhouse forward. Dave has been invited to come, so hopefully he'll be able to come and spend some time with us. Of course, Joan will be there, and there's some other community partners that are interested in coming and participating with us as well. So I will keep you advised of anything more that comes of that. But I just wanted the board to be aware that our advisory board is looking at that as diversifying funding. Okay. Any questions at all?
This is not the time, they'll ask you afterwards if they need something. Thank you very much, appreciate that. Is there anyone else from the public?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean McGregor. I'm from Ira Township. I'm here on behalf of the CEO company for our monthly report. For our individual served update, Creative Empowerment Opportunities hosted Valentine's Day celebrations at all community centers. The individual served monthly educational seminar is Sign Language Basics, which I have a handout for. For our community center update, Clinton Township elected a new individual served council president. They also started a new volunteer site at Conqueror Church. 2 new vans were added to the fleet to embrace home and community-based services final rule. At our Anchorville location, they elected a new individual served council president. Also, they recognized seasonal depression disorder by hosting weekly raffles to encourage individuals served to attend activities in the community. CEO Anchorville also attended classes at Creative Academies. For our Mount Clemens location, they also elected a new individual served council president. They also got new windows installed and painted the skills development room. Our Mount Clemens location attended classes as well at our offered Creative Academies. At our Washington site, they started a new volunteer site at Friendship Church, while also delivering over 500 Meals on Wheels. They also recently held a successful fundraiser, Dinner with Santa, raising over $900 to provide meals and gifts to all 81 individuals served. For our stakeholder update, CEO has developed index cards to improve communication support with the individuals we serve in the greater community. The intent of the communication cards is to help reduce anxiety of individuals. Basically, all the cards are yes, no, bathroom, very basic phrases, which I'll hand out too. As well, CEO has developed a business card to help recruit employees, and referring employees will also receive a bonus. Our Mount Clemens location will be hosting a Quarter Mania on April 4th, 2019 at Hot Tamales Catino from 6 to 9. Tickets are available at any CEO location or at the door, which I have a flyer for everyone. And finally, CEO will host the annual Spring Fling on April 13th at the Carlos Club. The dinner dance recognizes the accomplishments of the individuals served, and our theme this year is Disney. Ticket cost is $13. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I was hoping that you were going to bring chocolate for, as you described your Valentine project.
Ate it on the way here.
Oh. Anyone else? Wait, anyone else from the public? Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 12, adjournment. Motion and support, all in favor? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.